kids on the Escalator Podcast. Jeff Pearce is still here hanging out. Chris Machete hanging out. And it's time to switch gears from The Mandalorian to a terrible story in music that happened a couple weeks ago. We thought we'd give it we're just launching this, but we're a little bit behind as far as weeks go, but we thought we would touch on the passing of Eddie Van Halen. I know what it meant to you, Chris. Jeff, I'm sure he had an influence on you, and they've influenced us in our own ways. So let's dive into Eddie Van Halen. So, Chris, I think I just want you to tell the story of Eddie Van Halen to you.
Well, he's just not only my favorite guitar player. He's my favorite musician. I love the way he made, well, I don't know if he made David Lee Roth, but he wanted the vocals to go against the guitar playing, and he made it work. He created so many styles, finger tapping being one of them, but just everything about Eddie I thought was cool. He's my favorite musician. So it's hard to put into words what somebody like that does for you as a musician. It gives you freedom. It gives you inspiration. It gives you something to put on your wall because the guy just looks so damn cool with that cigarette in his mouth or in the end of his guitar playing. His guitars that he made with the stripes, it was just one of those guys in my life musically who just meant the world to me. And it was a really tough thing because I hate it when you lose somebody that's really famous, because you get a lot of people that just jump on board. You know what I mean? Oh, Eddie Van Halen. I loved Eddie Van Halen. I used to listen to you Girl, You Really Got Me Now over and over again, or, so I didn't really do too much online about it, but it's nice to be able to talk about it here and share stories with fellow musicians on this kind of thing. But yeah, he meant guitar playing wise. I always told my students that I taught guitar is I'll teach you how to play Van Halen, but you're not going to sound like Eddie Van Halen. I can't do that. You know what I mean? The way he harnessed distortion with volume. Apparently his guitar was akin to a bucking bronco. There was so much off the beginning, at the beginning when he first got his Brown sound going and everything. Apparently it was like a bucking bronco. It was just screaming all the time. And he had control over that thing. And he made it sound like gold, like Jimi Hendrix kind of back in the day would string upside down guitar and whammy it without a lock nut on there and keep it in tune or put it back in tune or bend it. Eddie had that same kind of thing going on, but he would build his guitars and he would build his sound. I don't know much more. Eddie, rad dude. Cheers to Eddie. I'd like to hear what Jeff has to say about Eddie as well, for sure.
Yeah, so Van Halen, they were, as a band, they were around for as long as there's never a time when Van Halen didn't exist for me, really. They although it's funny because they, the first album came out in 1978. I was 11. I was heavily into my Carpenters and ABBA phase at the time. And then when I got to high school, Van Halen was it was relegated to that was the music that you heard in the smoking area of the high schools. And so, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, all that kind of stuff, when they got, those were real guitar records. For me, the moment of realization, I knew that he was an amazing guitar player, but there were so many imitators that came out immediately after Van Halen won, that you kind of forgot that a little bit, because right after him, Randy Rhoads came along and a bunch of other people came along who tapped into the whole finger tapping thing. I think his strongest thing for me was his songwriting, and he would throw away stuff that other bands could build careers over. So I'm going to ramble for a second. Mm-hmm. Fair Warning, Women and Children First, Diver Down, much more of a pop album with the Dancing in the Street cover and all that sort of stuff. And then 1984. So with the big pop song, Jump, all that kind of thing. There's a lot of hard rock going on in that period of time. I was in high school from 1980 to 1985. So that was hard rock time. That was Def Leppard. It was AC/DC. There was tons of great stuff that was going on. 1984 came out, and Jump came as the first single, and it was like, okay, here's a great pop song. They're introducing keyboards now. But for me, the eye-opening moment was Panama. Mm-hmm. That song for me is it's one of the best songs ever written. And if you sort of think through the song, like, I wish we could actually play it, but it's like it begins with the with the bing, 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 bing,
Killer
bing,
riff, yeah.
and killer riff, plays it, and then into the that part of the song, it never gets repeated. It's an intro all to itself. A lesser band could build a career on just that 16 bars of music. Right. But in Panama, it's just the intro, it's left alone and never comes back. I remember actually when I was a kid, like when that song came out, I made a remix of Panama just using 2 cassette decks next to each other because I wanted that part to come back in the song and again in the middle of it. And so I cut that back in the thing, but they didn't have to. He knew it was great. He knew the whole rest of the song was great. And then it gets into the main riff, the bang, 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 oh yeah, which, any other band would have started the song at that point, and that would have been fine. The song would have still been a great song. The song goes on, amazing song, and then you get to the bridge, and the bridge is like, it gets so cool. It turns into a totally different song. That whole thing that's going on there, that song is a symphony. And then after the reach down, use the seat back. Yeah. It goes into the chromatic run. She's running, like it's ballsy to do a chromatic run where they're just going up 1 fret at a time till they hit the final like Panama thing. And anyway, I remember just sort of that song. It turned me into a Van Halen fan, and at that point, I went back, bought Van Halen 1, bought Van Halen 2. I was along for the ride through the entire Sammy Hagar period of the band as well. I remember being blown away by Finish What You Started. Remember that song, the finger licking song? And again, thinking, wow, like here's a guy now who's like, he's a hard rock guitar player. It's a pop hard rock band. And he's written this amazing song with this great, almost like country jazz picking going on with it. And it's someone I always admired. Always
he evolved
admirable.
All the time. He was always evolving, Jeff?
Always evolving, yeah. And actually, we're not even talking about the studio stuff too. He did a lot for what music could be done in the studio. He was a great sort of studio innovator as well. And
I love the the keyboard stuff that he brought into the mix. No one was expecting that. I don't think for the first time you heard it, I'll wait and what? Like what is that? What's going on?
Right now, that was a great, amazing piano part in Right Now.
Totally. And that's going between the two, but just even back in like the Roth phase of being able to bring that in when you had this heavy rock band that brought keys into the forefront. It's like, wait, I thought Eddie Van Halen was a guitar player. And then you have all these keys out of nowhere and all these new sounds, which were amazing. And then I think it lent itself to the Hagar era a little bit more from the standpoint of like, I think Sammy could probably spin a hook a little bit better than Dave when it came to the bigger picture of the didn't have the big anthem rock songs that Roth did, but Hagar's kind of writing style, I think, to Eddie's keys and some of the stuff that he was bringing into your point, Jeff, about being such a studio musician and stuff. I think that it's kind of one of those rare cases where you've got two frontmen doing completely different things, but and almost two different completely sounding bands. With obviously we know about the two fans and the fight between Van Hagar and Roth and all that stuff. But I mean, I haven't seen too many bands be able to pull that off, and that's all Eddie to me.
Another thing that's really amazing is the something that popped up on my Facebook feed after he passed away was the footage of him playing with the Saturday Night Live band. It was the David Letterman band.
Saturday Night. G.E. Smith brought him in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember there's a whole song that he wrote, Stomping in Room F or whatever it was. But I was watching him play an acoustic version, instrumental version of Panama with Paul Schaefer and that kind of thing. And the thing that occurred to me was just how generous he would be. That he's got this amazing song, he's got this amazing thing, and he's more than happy to have. These guys are just like they're clamming all over the place. So
they're just like, oh my god, it's
yeah. And Paul Schaefer's like playing all these like keyboard things in there, and that sort of just shows a real love for music and musicians and performing. That he wasn't being precious about it. He wasn't being like, I'm only going to play my song if we do it this way and blah blah blah. It was just like, these guys want to play with me, I want to play with them. we're going to jam the song out. It's going to be great. And it was.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. Cause I'm sorry, I love that in any musician, that whole just willing to jam. I love it. Somebody at his level. Let's play the song, man. Like, that is amazing. That's a great point. And I
didn't hurt that Schaefer had Anton Fig on drums either. Added to the mix.
Nice.
On Saturday Night Live story too, Jeff, to that point, was Valerie was hosting and Eddie was just sitting around.
Oh, man.
And he's like, he's just sitting around, and G. Smith's like, why don't you come in here and hang out? Because all the actors are out there doing their thing. We're in here doing ours. And he had to hang out for the week. So he hung out with the musicians and they're like, why don't you come up and jam? And I think that was just the universal kind of love.
That's great. Him. He just loved playing, man. Like, I can't picture him without his guitar in his hand. Very cool.
Chris, what was the first time you heard Van Halen?
Oh, geez. It was Running with the Devil. I bought the album. I was maybe 9 years old. I listened to Kiss, listened to a lot of Queen. And then the next natural progression was that album cover, Van Halen 1. And I remember just that horn, boom, boom, boom. It was like, wow, this is, it had the aggression that Kiss had, but it had a little more hipness to it, a little more swing to it, right? Because at that point, I'd listened to Kiss heavily, and Queen were my two main bands. Cheap Trick a little bit, but more Kiss and Queen, and then Van Halen kind of sitting in my nice little trio bands really well. So
that's the thing about Van Halen, is that they as a band, despite the fact that they were a hard rock band, they never seemed to take themselves too seriously. And you got that with the background vocals were always whimsical and fun and just great harmonies. And the way they presented themselves on stage and in videos was always, they weren't taking the piss, and it wasn't that they were not serious about the craft that they were doing, but they never seemed to, they always knew that they were lucky to be playing in a rock band, and they were happy to show that they were having the time of their lives doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing dark about Van Halen.
No, Jeff, that's true, right? I like that. I love that about
Jeff. Did Moist ever play with Van Halen?
No, Moist never played with Van Halen. No, we were briefly managed by, or not. Well, we were. Their manager expressed interest in managing us for a while back in around 1995, 1996. But
I just spoke to Rainmaker earlier from Our Lady Peace, and who wanted to weigh in on this. I told him we were going to have this chat, and he told a story, which I'll play in here, but as we take a break. But he told the story about being on tour for 55 shows with Van Halen, and they were like, "Well, I don't know if we should do that. Like, we should do it, but it's it's a big party band and whatever." And Sammy kept trying to get them kicked off the tour, and Eddie and Alex were like, "No, you're not going anywhere."
Can't kick Canadians off.
And Eddie was all about keeping OLP on there, which made them, it means it's a better live band. So I'll play that clip in this story. But very interesting, his connection to that. And then just, it seems now you hear all these amazing stories about Eddie, which you heard anyways, but now definitely like the bands that he helped. And oh man, it's what a loss.
Gene Simmons has a million things to say now about Eddie Van Halen, right?
Yeah, terrible loss.
Apparently discovered them. Yeah, that sucks, man. But he's got lots of great music to jam to and listen to and everything, Yeah. Gotta look at the positives.
At least Eddie Vedder's still alive.
And Eddie Vedder's still alive. They are only rumors.
Jeff,
we accidentally almost started at the beginning of this show.
Almost at the beginning. Jeff, tell us what's going on with you and Moist and everybody.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, man, we have it's extremely exciting time for us. We were at the beginning of the year, we had this incredible tour booked for the summer, arena tour with 3 other Canadian bands of the same vintage. And so we knew we needed to get a new record out. So we did a bunch of fierce writing and came up with 10 songs that I think are the best 10-song package that we've ever put out. Wow. And we went into the studio and we recorded them in early March. And as we were in the studio doing the last day of tracking, the world shut down.
Somebody calls Corona and shut everybody's door. Yeah, wow.
That was the whole thing.
That was timing, eh, Jeff? Holy cow, buddy! I remember March break, and then whoop.
Yeah. So a good thing about it is that we managed to get the bed tracks done, and we all have technology in our little rooms, and so we were able to actually finish the record without. We haven't seen each other now since March 11th or 15th, but we've managed to we've finished making the record, and now it's just finding the record company obviously would like to hold on to the record until we can actually get out there into the world and support it. And so we're hoping to actually have the first single drop in January for a long lead up to have the record out in time for the tour, which will hopefully be it's being rescheduled maybe I can't speak exactly when it's going to be.
That's tough, huh?
Yeah, but you know what, we're there's a lot of people who are in much worse shape than we are. At least we're all.
You're being very kind though, Jeff, because that was bad timing for you guys, right? Like it's like, okay, we're about you. Well, no, we're not.
It was, but you know what? It's bad timing for us. But we're in the dessert phase. We're in the second helping of dessert phase of our career right now. We've already been lucky enough to have been able to do this for a long time. I feel really bad for the bands that are just starting out. It would be a real drag, and I feel bad for. We also had enough time away from the band that we all have other careers going as well that have been able to keep us employed and busy and supporting ourselves. I feel terrible for the tour personnel. I feel terrible for the venues. I feel terrible for all the many periphery people who work in the music industry who are not getting by. And so
kudos to you for continuing to fly that Canadian CanCon flag though, my friend.
Yeah, buddy.
Getting it out there, because eventually when the world comes back, we all go back to work, and then it's going to be music overload. And so take this time and enjoy it, because you're about to get real busy maybe by the end of next year. It's going to get a little bit nuts. So awesome, man. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us this week.
Thank you, guys.
Jeff,
appreciate
it, man.
On the show. Love to have you back down. Love to have you back down the road, and all the best to you for the rest of 2020.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Chris.
No problem, Jeff. It's good to see and hear from you again, buddy.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, Jeff.
Hearing the podcast.
Awesome. Take care, buddy.